You all have this, did you bring the old translation? I mean the translation, yes. Or you could say the text, called the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. in Chinese. It's very interesting actually when you talk about that. The temple, after when I arrived in Sri Lanka, after all my ordination, and my first training place, actually the temple is called It's called Dhammacakkappavattana temple actually. So that's in Sri Lanka temple. Anyway, this is a text is an important one thing is because it is you have about 3 or 4 Chinese translations. Even one translation was done during 260 in China, translated by the Ansigal. Okay. Last time when I tried to print that out for you guys, but I couldn't find it. But now anyway, just only today I saw it. But if you're interested, next time I could just print out all these different Chinese translations for you. They might have a few word difference, but most of the things are similar. Okay? And then you could, so that's a very good way, especially if you're more interested in the texture study. You could see, you can do the comparative study between how the early translation are done and then some later translation. We are not saying they're late from later, but it's just on the later translation in the Chinese. And then of course you have the Pali. This one is the translation from the Pali language. I mean, as I say, they're almost the same. There were a few things about the fact. Firstly, always the sutra or the sutta. Sutra is a Sanskrit word, 就是经. Sutra when they say sutra means Sanskrit. Sutta 也是经，但是就是巴黎文，没关系。有时候我会搞一下讲的越是讲的，但你就知道是指经啊。So when I say the sutra, it's Sanskrit and the sutta means Pali. So it's always usually the sutra start with where the sutra was taught. We need to know why. It's just like in old days, the Indian culture is different from Chinese. The Chinese always mention under the emperor of whom, what kind of name of the country, what dynasty, which year he was on the throne, and so forth. So then somehow know when the thing happens. But in India, they don't have that concept. Maybe for them, there are a lot of big, probably because of their philosophy is different. They don't want to think about too much of the time, I guess. Anyway, you could argue that Indians don't have the concept of history. Okay. So, and that's why how they actually put the history record in Buddhism, of course, they somehow knew that it's important to know. It's always mentioned where the Buddha went. At that time, who was there? Just imagine like me, I also don't remember. If you ask me, Dhammadipa, so when you, for example, when you give the talk, or when you, for example, when you say that, for example, when you give a talk about this and that, I may not remember. I just know, at that time who was there and which place and which area. I couldn't remember which year, which day, and like that. But that's why this is an earlier time, very earlier time. Everybody know when and when, based on because they know the Buddha where he lived, and then after that where he moved, and which center he lived, and then from this center he moved to which center. But unfortunately later on, nobody write that down. Like he was there first and there first, and later on then we don't know and where the Buddha was, because after 2,600 years. But of course we still know some, generally, because there were several previous records that the Buddha, for example, Buddha left in a place after something happened and he left. How do we get this record? Is all from the monastic codes, 我们叫戒律的律学. They mention about sometimes. So from there, that's how now in the modern time we can trace sometimes. The text was taught by the Buddha after his enlightenment, how many years? Because of based on that. So otherwise, but for earlier time, almost every text they know when the Buddha was taught. Okay, they use the way they record. That's why it said I have heard. Okay, at that time the Buddha was where. Okay, of course this is the first one, so there's no question. Isipadana, but this is not the only time the Buddha gave the talk in Isipadana of talk. But then this is that's definitely the first talk. Okay, the record, at least being recognized by all the monks that this is a legitimate text. And then there is the beginning of it, and there's the content, what's happening, and there's the content also about then encountering something and what the Buddha talk about, the main philosophy. Okay? And the result, this is always the way that we structure the text. Okay? All right, anyone want to volunteer to read the first two paragraphs? All right, shall we also read another paragraph first? Do you want to read? Livelihood. All right, thank you. Now, now this is how the structure of the sutra. Sometimes is very dry, a little bit dry, but you have to understand. I mean, maybe very important to give you another pictures about the sutra too. Is imagine that today we just have a class almost an hour, right? Imagine that. When you have a class an hour, and then you cannot write it down, but you only just remember what the class was said, right? What the class said. And then you have to get it together. And you need to keep it in memory, what you will do. You all have to compare their notes. This is how remember what the class said, right, today. And you write it out, maybe say that, or sometimes. And sometimes the other will point it out, no, you missed one line. But he also mentioned that is very important. Right. Probably, another guy would say, no, there's something that I don't think that Dhammadipa did mention this, and then we might have a dispute, right? But then he said, no, very important, because without that line, it doesn't make sense in the next sentence, and then it has to come to agreement, right? So like, look at your notes, if you hear the class, right, when you make a note, how many words you're going to write? You're not going to write all of them, like 1 hour thing, right? So you will just write the main point, which you think makes sense for the whole topic. And then sometimes when there's a dispute, then so that's why even when gathered together, you're going to make a note, and you need to commit the note into memory. Right? What you certainly also need a person who's in charge of it. Okay, we are going to talk that story later. So how the sutra comes along. But I will just give you the picture first. When you read sutra, you have to understand in early sutra is very simple and precise, because that is how it's done. Because like 1 hour class, you have to make it into a note, and in the note you have to commit it in memory, and everybody have to agree to commit the same memory like that. So, but after that, because of the history comes along and pass, and sometimes even though you commit in memory, it could be doubt that something missing, you add one word, two word, or some other thing that this maybe misplaced and then put it aside. That's why you have so many different versions. They have a very similar content. Now, why I want to mention this to you is very important. When you learn the history of how the Bible be composed, it's very, very different from how the Buddhist text been composed. Very different. Because the Buddhist text been composed in such a way, actually if you look at the whole history, it's much, much more reliable. Because that's how they've been composed in such a way. If you argue that it was wrong, it would be wrong from the very first day. Otherwise, it actually is much more reliable. When they start to compose the text. And this is very important because when you study a thing, one of the, especially when academic study, not academic, this is even for monk, you have to understand. How people could ask you, how could you know that this is more reliable? For nowadays, the science, they will say, yeah, because that's how they compose in such a way. Okay. That's why you could see the word. It's quite dry, because, and also if you read the original language, it's much better because even sometimes when you put it the structure, they had to go with the rhythm too because they need to recite it again and again. Okay. But of course, if you always read the English or if you always read the Chinese, yeah, even Chinese will try to do that. But I want to say the original way. Original have this kind of meter. The rhythm going there too. So, okay. Now, anyway, that the text was say, in one occasion, the blessed one, mean the Buddha was saying in a Varanasi, in a place called Game. Okay. So, and then at the time he addressed the group of the monks, 5 monks. Panjavakya. Actually, I don't think this is a good translation. Panjavakya not necessarily mean monk, means maybe the 5 ascetics, right? So and then because this is, as I said, as a note, right? So he's not going to talk when he say, they don't want me to say, and then now I say it. No, of course, those are unimportant. It's a message important. So directly the message, the Buddha saying, there are 2 extremes that are not to be indulged in by who is to gone forth. Remember the word, by one who has gone forth. That means by one who has chuja, renounced. Okay? So there were 2 things that should not be indulged. Which 2? And they actually, all 6 of them, they have renounced their life already. They gone forth already. That which is devoted to sensual pleasure with reference to sensual objects. Basically mean one thing that should not be indulged in. So one is that devoted to the sensual pleasure with reference to sensual objects. And then now the next one. This is how the structure of the language is say this kind of sensual pleasure, how people who are gone forth, how they should really truly understand. They are the base, vulgar, common, ignoble, unprofitable. And the other one also should not be indulged. Also, that is devoted to the self-affliction, or you could say self-austerity. This is 苦行. Because why? Because when you do this self-affliction kind of practices, so someone will be painful, ignoble, unprofitable. Now, please compare the 2 first. The first one, it is based, vulgar, common, ignoble, unprofitable. It will conduce someone to be such a way. But the second type will conduce someone to be painful, ignoble, unprofitable. Could you see the difference? Basically, the difference is, if someone indulges the sensual pleasure, for those who are serious about the practices, and then according to that, the first one is base and vulgar. But of course, it's become common. It's not, and it's also ignoble, unprofitable, right? But the second one, no common is mentioned, no base is mentioned, no vulgar is mentioned, but only mentioned the ignoble and unprofitable and add 1 item, painful. Get it now? So from here it's very clear because we know the Buddha actually before he has a luxurious life, and then now he also trying to another extreme, have an painful life and a torturing life, right? So and he say that the first one is vulgar. I mean, for people who really want a homeless life, it's vulgar. But for people, and then also, but the second one is, it's painful. But both have the similarity that is ignoble and unprofitable. So ignoble means it's not belong to the noble person. Okay? It would not lead you to be really like 圣人 in Chinese or 圣人. So unprofitable. So basically, it would not lead you to become beneficial. Well, here you could say refer to the beneficial for your enlightenment. Okay? Okay. There's no question about that now, right, so far. So, and then now the next slide definitely is the very most popular, and because of this slide, and then the whole of Buddhist philosophy came up. So then the Buddha says, avoiding the both of these extremes, the middle way realized by the Tathagata. So Tathagata is always in the Pali text, 就如来 in Chinese. The word 如来, Tathagata, is always referred to, he's going to say like he, 那个如来, 但是就是说他, so it always means that Tathagata means he, I. In old day, you politely you don't say I, you say that Tathagata. Okay. So, so avoiding both of these extremes, the middle way realized by the Tathagata, and what happening, then that will produce vision and produce knowledge. That's why this avoiding both of these extremes will produce vision and will produce knowledge. So imagine that he met the five companions, and then he started to talk about, having those life is extreme, for people who want to renounce the homeless home, and having those like what you're doing now, like what they are doing now, what they were doing now, that's practicing the austerity, so it's also extreme. Only by avoiding the two, so and that it's then you come to the middle path or middle way, and so that is actually what is useful of the middle way, because it will produce vision and produce knowledge. And we're going to discover vision and knowledge a little bit later. So not only that, it will come to what kind of results, and this vision and knowledge, so what, you could say, and it leads to calm, leads to direct knowledge, leads to the self-awakening, and leads to unbinding. So, and those are the, if you learn original language, a very, very important term. It's actually started to talk the quality of what the purpose of practicing already. The quality, The quality firstly is that we have to learn. Firstly, try to avoid even in action the two extremes. And later on, this developed to, because this is not the only text, and another text later on, the Buddha mentioned something about the middle way also. When you have the extreme way of thinking, this is right, that is wrong, for example, so you're still not in the middle way, like this, okay? I mean, we are not going to talk that now, but we may have chance when we come to another topic. I will also print out the text for you. At least you have some look at the original text, how it is said. So generally here, first at least based on the first sermon the Buddha said, we know that he was firstly clearly referring to there's two kinds of action. Well, you could argue that they refer to people as a priest in Indian background, so they have a family life and they think that they could attain nirvana. According to Buddha, I think that's almost impossible, kind of like that, They have their joyful life, luxurious life, wonderful life. And the other one is that they thought they leave the family and then they torture themselves. They want to behave like a dog, behave like a cow, or just fasting not to eat anything, and so they can. So, and he said those two things only lead to painful. But he didn't use the word mean, base, and vulgar. For people who are very serious in practice, they're not vulgar, but it's just painful. It doesn't conduce you to what? Remember, producing vision and knowledge is very important. And what it is vision and knowledge for? It's because it will have those kind of quality comes along, that you will be appeasement, or depending on how to translate, calm, and you have a direct knowledge, and then the self-awakening and unbinding. Let me just look at the Pali. Um, yeah, okay. So that means the Majjhima Patipataka Gedena Abhisambuddha Yana Karani Upasamaya. So then it will lead you to Upasamaya. Basically leads you to calm. Upasamaya originally mean all the defilement will be subdued. 就是你的一切烦恼会被止息in Chinese, Upasamaya. And Abhinyaya, the direct knowledge. Abhinyaya refers to few things. First, they have this kind of superpower knowledge. It means that because first thing the superpower knowledge is because all the defilement will be subdued, and also you will have a divine eyes. In other words, you have somehow the power which other people don't have. And you can read other people's minds, something like that. Okay. And Sambodhaya. So Sambodhaya here to translate as the self-awakening. It refers to that person will have the wisdom. Okay, the wisdom will come in. So this is how the Buddha understands. This is how we define by the wisdom. And the last one, Nibbanaya. Okay, here to translate as undying. Actually, the original is Nibbanaya. That means he will have the completely cease of the reincarnation, or something like that. So that's why it's called Nibbanaya. So it's a very popular sentence. So in Pali we say Ayang kosa bhikkhave Majjhima Patipatana Tathagatena Abhisambuddha Jakku Karani Yana Karani Upasamaya Abhinyaya Sambodhaya Nibbanaya Samvadyate. Right? So, and any other question so far? So far, forget about the Kongxin, okay? So let's forget about that later. We will discuss that later. Okay. Just remember this mean. So we know that it means if you can avoid the two extremes, surely that you definitely two things will arise. One is your vision， 就是你的这个我们叫做中文一般人怎么翻译？明就升起了，不是无明那个明，就是明。And the second one is that then you will arise the knowledge， 智慧的智，不是智慧的智，知识的知就升起，就是你知道你了解是什么。OK。那么但是 these two things, the mean and then the mean that means the vision. Something you can translate this. Let me see. Jakku Karani actually here directly should be translated as 眼睛 the eye. 你有眼睛 you have eyes. I think maybe if I would translate, I don't translate as the vision. I would translate as then it producing eye and producing knowledge. Because Buddhism always refer to when a person not seeing the real truth, that is what we're going to say later, then you are still blind. So here, just like the people are given the eyes already. No. Just maybe just try to follow the first sermon and say what are they. Forget about miao kong so far. Put it that aside. Because that kind of knowledge you learn is from another aspect too. As I say, but this text, it's not that just only from Pali. You have it in Chinese, and any earlier monk, the so-called big man like An Si Gao, Paramata, Zhen Di, or they start to talk this text first. Okay? I want to say that. So you have to maybe the best to learn it through that kind of system. It's all right. We can just read it and then we'll see. Okay. No. We did explain what is the Bodhisattva before. According in the Buddhist originally, and later the Bodhisattva been understood differently. So, okay, right. Let's back to the next one. We did read already. And then what is mean the middle way realized by the Tathagata? Okay. So we say that there was avoiding the two extremes, and then you will reach to the middle way. And what is this middle way? Okay. And they say, and this kind of middle way, of course, we repeat again, producing the vision, producing the knowledge, and will give you the quality, lead you to the calm, lead you to the direct knowledge, lead you to the self-awakening, and lead you to the, cutting off all the reincarnation. Here they say abiding only. They translate it. Okay. Precisely, this is this Noble Eightfold Path. That means the right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This is the middle way realized by the Tathagata that will give you this. So in the first sermon, it's actually in the first sermon. This is why I say in the first sermon here, want to mention what it is middle way that will have this producing the vision. 就是有眼睛 and how you producing the eyes and producing the knowledge. That is a Noble Eightfold Path. And the Noble Eightfold Path is called eight because there are eight factors to be exist together, not only just one. So then they have a right view, right 正见, 正思维, right resolve, right thought. I mean, so many different translations, but anyway, right here the translation right resolve, right view, right resolve, right speed, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Now, roughly, let me just say what do you mean by right view. But this is oh, I think did he mention? No. So the first thing, usually right view means you know the Noble Eightfold Path. That's what we're going to describe later. What is meant by the right thought? That means you understand well what is the cause, what is the effect, and so forth. 就是因果, you understand the 因果. And then also, what is meant by the right speech, and then the right action, right speech. Of course, that you always, not only speech with the right, the truth, not speaking which is you are not sure about. Something like that. And then the right action is referred to, you would not like hit the people, but you always have the kind action, good action. That just means action. But the livelihood is different. Livelihood means it's almost like your job, And then another one, so let's say, to Buddhism, of course, the most right livelihood is to be a monk. But to be a monk, of course, I don't mean to be a monk like nowadays, what you see. According to during the Buddha's time, 2,600 years ago, I understand that it's quite different pictures. As those people are really do not want to indulge the both. They want to away from the both, right? So 就是正命，就是一个 or you could translate as 正确的职业, or if you think that's a kind of like a 职业, right livelihood. And the right effort is a kind of energy. You need to have you could have a wrong energy to do wrong thing. And then the right mindfulness, 就是正念. So always must have the mindfulness. And then also right concentration is the samadhi, 就是禅定, the right concentration. In other words, this is actually, according to what they believe is, anyone who come to a point of the realization, this eight thing will be there. For example, even though you may argue that, I'll just give you one example. People might ask this question, like, but I'm not a monk, I'm a lay people. Can I attend a sainthood? According to Buddhism, yes. You can attend Arahat, but you can be the first fruit and second fruit and third fruit as a lay person. Get it now? First fruit, second fruit, third fruit, 就出果、二果、三果. Okay, you can be that, but you might not be Arahant. But then you can argue if that's the case of, but I'm not in the right livelihood. Definitely you were, because the moment when you attend the livelihood, become the first sainthood, you definitely live almost like the monk, right? Say that you were just, imagine that you just come to do only meditation. You are not watching TV, you are not indulged of that. That I always based on that to make me happy. You are not torturing yourself like fasting and this and that, but you're just doing the right thing, correct thing, right? According to the teachings. And then you live maybe just for the few days or whatever, be that way. And then you attend sainthood. That time all these eight factors should be there. Okay. But then that's why the Buddhism later on, this is how you start to understand why Buddhism, some emphasis on talking about what is meant by the right view, 正见. That's why they always tell you this is 正见, that is 正见. Anyway, this is not my topic at the moment. And also some people ask you, emphasis on how you should think it correctly, the right thought, And some emphasis how you have the right speech, right? And then some emphasis which one you have a right livelihood, like you shouldn't do that. You should do this kind of life. You should do this kind of job. You shouldn't do this kind of job. But here I want to say is that do remember, according to what Buddhism understanding, just want to tell you at least from this text here, in the moment that or when you want to produce the I or produce the knowledge, this acting should be there. Okay. I mean, for example, you cannot say I'm slapping the people, and then because even though I have a wrong action, but I can attain enlightenment, and this is for Buddhism. Based on this text, it's very hard to understand that part, right? 就是我不能说我打你一巴掌 and I just slap a person and then I attain enlightenment, because the right action is not there, right? Okay. This they refer a lot of things because in India there are so many different kind of practices, right? And they say they attain enlightenment also. And now here at least the Buddha formulated is that it has this noble Eightfold Path should be present at the moment. No, the right view is a big topic, but please don't. You don't have to go to that part first. Just know this 18 should be composed together. Yeah. No, of course this is the highest attainment already. This is not a normal thing already. It's not for normal topic. You imagine the Buddha attained Buddhahood, and then these 5 companions were very serious about the practice. Their whole life was as a priest. And but I mean, this is a lot of background you need to understand. And if you want to know detail, some of them come from a really powerful. I just mentioned last talk. One of the Gondanya, actually, he is the cousin of the Asita. Asita was the most famous priest in those days, and who predict the life of the Buddha when he was born, when he was a baby, right? So that's why in the last talk I mentioned, it looks to me that the Asita, Asitoma in Chinese translate, Asita, he knew that actually that this kid when he was born, he would be definitely not going to be a king. He was more highly probable to would be a spiritual leader rather than the king. And as like normally everybody loves to be a king rather than a spiritual leader. Imagine if your son say, "I want to be a spiritual leader," you would say crazy. You say, "I want to be a king," of course. Oh, go, right? This is how the thing. Imagine especially he was born in the palace, right? So. And but of course, as I say in the last talk, so of course the Asita definitely understood that he could not say that. This is my interpretation. Maybe different interpretation. My interpretation. Imagine if you are the one who invited to be a palace. Are you going to say, "I tell you, you will be very disappointed king," because he would not become a king. He will become a spiritual leader. Of course, my head will chop off your head, right? So you have to say, "Oh, he might have 2 choices, right? One is spirituality leader, or one is the choice of the king," of course, right? Then you will save life. But you will know that actually in the legend, in the Buddhist legend, actually Asita went back home, and there are lots of things between. I don't want to say. That's why I always encourage you go to read the Buddhist life, Buddha life. Actually, it's a lot of interesting stories there, and they are very important messages telling you from the story. But anyway, he went back. He told Gondanya. Gondanya was very young, just 20-something. Actually, Gondanya is 20-something older than the Buddha. Okay, we are going to mention his name later in this text. The first to see the truth. Okay, and his name is called Chao Chen Nu. It's Gondanya. So he actually is 20-something, and the Asita went back and told Gondanya, one day if you saw this prince with the lungs of light, you have to follow him. So okay. So all this, imagine his cousin. It was his cousin. So in other words, I want to say, don't even now imagine in old day. All these 5 companions are the very intelligent, religiously, the most kind of like they know everything. So, and because perhaps the Kondanya as one of the the big brother, the leader. So that's why I guess he's the one who asked them to follow, he will be enlightened one day, because of, because my what do you say, my uncle said, because his uncle was the most popular in those days, right? So you have to understand that kind of background. So this kind of, that's why the content here is not about superficial content. It's definitely something very deep for them. That's something they look for a long time already. That is how you should have the eye, how you should have the knowledge, and the eye and knowledge will lead you to be really cut off your defilements, cut off your reincarnation. At least that's how they believe, right? And then what is other? And then you will have any Sambodhaya means you will directly, whatever you see, literally you could say that way. Whatever you see, they call it direct knowledge actually, and you have this kind of supernatural power because of your attainment, and also kind of supernatural power that people usually not easily to get. And also they translate here self-awakening. Actually, it's referred to mean you always, whatever you see, your mind will not be wrong like that. So directly mean Sambodhayas mean that way. Anyway, where we are now? Okay, now we didn't read the next one. Shall we read the next one? I think what time is? Oh, we still have little time to discuss. Okay, I think we can just read the first one now. So anyone, do you want to read both of you? Yeah, please. Yeah.
And this month is the noble truth of the origination of stress, the crapping of the myths.
I think it's the number 1, 2, 3, the fourth line, the fourth paragraph maybe. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
Okay, now this month is the noble truth of stress. Birth is stressful, aging is stressful, death is stressful, sorrow, lamentation, and distress and despair are stressful. Association with the unbeloved is stressful. Separation from the love is stressful. Not getting what is wanted is stressful. In short, the climbing aggregate is stressful.
Can you read another one too?
And this month is the noble truth of the origination of stress. The crapping that makes covertly becoming, accompanied by passion and delight, relief, now here and now there, i.e. crapping from sensual pleasure, crapping from becoming, crapping for non-becoming.
Okay, thank you. Now, actually, this is we are going to talk there a lot also in the next few chapters. Don't worry that, because and the best to learn step by step. If sometimes we have a much more detail in the beginning is too confusing, right? Here is say first, and then the first sermon say, now the monk, what is the noble truth of the, actually you could translate suffering. This is how we translate. It become a common term for us. Mean 就是什么是苦地真谛的地 What is the truth of the suffering? But here they translate stress. I guess it's for people easy to read, because suffering in English sometimes refer to mean really painful thing. But it's not necessarily. It's actually cause you something uneasy. That's why stress maybe sound a little bit more readable, I would say. But still, Buddhism generally translates suffering. Okay. So now this monk is the noble truth of the dukkha. The dukkha, I mean the noble truth of the dukkha satya. I mean the dukkha. What is the we will discuss that more in later chapters actually. The stress. Now do remember there are 8 of them. Birth is according to Buddhism, 就生是苦 ，OK， aging 老是苦 ，death 死是苦，那么还有忧愁悲苦恼是苦 ，so and the stressful sorrow lamentation pain stressful despair are stressful, and then associate with unbelief one unbeloved one is stressful mean 我们叫做怨憎会苦。So it means when you met somebody who is, you don't like it, is suffering, stressful, right? Don't you? It is how you face every life. Separation from the loved one is also stressful. So, no, 爱别离苦, right? Not getting what is wanted is stressful. 就求不得苦, so in short, so in essence, or in short, or you could say in short, what else we can say in English? In short, or in conclusion, or or in a bridge way to say that. In a bridge way to say, the 5 clinging aggregates are stressful. 就是五蕴是苦，听过吗？ Have you heard that? Okay. I mean, I'm sure that lots of people have a lot of buffer, but we can ask later. I think it's best to discuss this a little bit more if we want to. Now, just come to the next one. So, and then, of course, if you have the, if there is a stressful, then there must be the way, the relief to the cause. What is the reason for the stressful? The cause for the stressful. And here they say, the stress for the stressful or the stress is the craving that makes for further becoming. Okay, that means because of the craving, it makes something coming. Okay, and that kind of craving is they have a certain quality. The quality is accompanied by passion and delight, relishing now, here and there. Okay, so. And for example, craving for sensual pleasure, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming. Okay. Now maybe so far we didn't want to come into the deep, but we just generally understand. The Buddha, after he mentioned avoid the true extreme, only by that the noble eightfold path, the 8 kind of factors will arise. And then we also talk about they give you a good quality. The quality is that you have the eyes and you have the knowledge. And this eye and knowledge will have 4 types of quality too, right? And that's mentioned about that. Now then the Buddha start to jump to the Four Noble Truths. That means firstly the Buddha asked them actually to contemplate, to understand, how you could look at it. It's more like a mental part. You mentally have a lot of problem there, that something will cause you a mental problem. One is that, firstly, the birth, it causes you a mental problem. And then the old age causes you a mental problem. And the third one, of course, the death causes you a mental problem. Think about that. When you think about these things, you get a lot of mental problem. And the other thing is that, very important, which people ignore, it's normally when I talk to people, I find that the Buddhism also talk, look at this. When people are not happy, despair, feel like sad, and so forth, it's also cause your mental problem. So, 就是我们叫忧愁悲苦恼也是苦的 ，okay? Yeah, it will cause you distress, cause you.
Why do you say the birth is stressful? It's like nothing. Does it indicate that when you were in mother's stomach, there's like a gel that's in there for 10 months, and that's kind of painful? But that is not only the explanation, but yes. If you look at this as a life circle, because this later on you need to explain this. Later on, this is everything that originates from the birth. There's no birth and no family.
Yeah, but that's also one way of understanding. They all are correct, because that's why in the Buddhist text that there are so many ways of practicing understanding. One other thing is that imagine like when the baby was in the mother womb, it's fine. Because what the mother eat, he had to eat. If the mother eating the chili, he had to suffer there. If the mother eating something he likes, and the baby like it too. But had no choice.
Yeah, because we forgot. Actually, it's a painful.
Yeah. And also when the time we give birth, so imagine that like when inside there, because they use a tube. I mean, that's the reason why when we do meditation, we need to try to, if you have the power, we believe that not necessarily you all have to do that, but if you have the power, you always have regard. You have to able to look, like almost like rewind your tape back to the mother womb. And then you back to see how you feel and how you come out. You definitely suffer, because imagine that when inside the womb and you come out that time, so inside still you feel the air was nice, but then when you come out, suddenly you smell something really awful actually. That's why the baby normally cry. But some baby don't cry, then you need to slap, right, the baby. But nowadays, now they find that don't do that because it's not very healthy for her. I mean, mentally not very healthy for the baby, they found that. So anyway, because when you slap the baby, imagine, I mean, you have to talk about the Buddha's time now, we're not talking the modern time. in the Buddha's time too, that worse, and they slap that baby, and the baby, look at the baby's skin, it's so tiny. That slap is like a huge, big, right? It's not like there. The baby's skin is so tender, right? That slap is like a big blow to a person. So, and that birth itself is, but also like you say, it's true. Yeah, it's also could understand that, I mean, you know, because of the birth, then you're about to face a lot of things, you know, kind of thing comes along, right? So aging is suffering, of course, you know, because, you know, you were healthy, you were nice, but then when you start to get that, you know, everything deteriorated, you know. But please understand, the birth is this and the aging is also capable of understanding anything, okay? I will explain that in the future, so, because that's more in the practice part also. Death, of course, nobody like it, and that was all, even, so, even when you think about other people, death also is suffering too, not only just because of that itself. So, and very important, the sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair was all stressful. And then, now, another thing is the same thing. You know, when you met somebody you don't like, you know, and then you met that when somebody you like definitely will leave you too, you know, even maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes, you know. So, so, and then the third thing is, what is that? That you want something, you don't get it, right? So, Buddha Kuma. And then ultimately, when you look at a person, that means look at your mind, your physical body, you are never happy about it. So, right, it's stressful, right? Right, right. So, even, I mean, one of the extreme example, like when you ask someone the most beautiful, say you are the most beautiful, no, I'm still not perfect, I still want this, and right? So, I mean, imagine that kind of mental part is always there. Right? So, it's interesting here, the Buddha asked them not to direct in all these kind of painful practices, but now you start to look at the life, whole thing. What is it? So, something like that. You know. And the next one, he said, the original stressful actually is come from the craving. And that craving make it to further becoming. You know, I mean, this is a big topic. Becoming here, you can understand, mean it make it becoming mean that you will reborn again. If you don't have craving, then the reborn will not be there. It's because of craving. Look at if we want to explain that, just start from the point that birth, right? Why you the birth? Because we want it. Really, tell me that anyone here who doesn't want to be reborn again? Everybody want to reborn. Because to think about I'm not going to reborn, it's quite, I mean, quite scary, right, in a way. So either what do you think about reborn? Some days maybe just one life, maybe whatever. But even though you might be not, I'm not thinking about it. But if you read how to think, I mean, don't forget, this is the text is not for normal people want to think about it. This is for the people really serious in their whole life about the life, you know, you have to think about that. They're really serious. So here, and also the craving itself. Once you have a craving, and the craving will not stop. The craving will be, based on the craving, you will be having another craving. That's what it means it comes again, right? Here it mentioned, accompanied by the passion and delight. And the craving is always like it. It's delight. It's not like before the suffering. That the cause is that. The cause is the craving. And the craving is always give you happy kind of delight sensation. Okay. And it will releasing now and here. That means it comes again. You based on that, it will be here like again and again. You know, with that. So, for example, craving for sensual pleasure. That means, for example, like we want to sit in a comfort chair. You know, sit in the anything is comfortable for you, right? Is it true? You know, I mean that's certainly true. You know, that's how it. And the craving for becoming refer to you want to be either you want to born here again, you want to born in any places again, you know, or that and craving for not to becoming. Or some people say, no, I don't want to become anything. So that is also craving. Okay. So for example, like people say, I want to finish my life. That is also kind of you could say mean craving for non-becoming. When they get when they get angry, but actually the moment the thought. They feel craving for, don't want to become anything, right? So it means not becoming. So, I mean, this is a little difficult. Anyway, so please remember the two things first. First is about the truth of suffering, or the stress here to translate. And secondly, the cause of the truth of the stress. All right. Actually, we almost time, but we start a little bit late. If we may have 5 minutes, maybe less than that. Any question with whatever we talk? We can have in the discussion of this text in the next class, and of course, we're going to read continue to our reading too about the later life of the Buddha. Yeah. No, I mean all practices, of course. Yeah. I mean, for practice, I mean, ideally, so all practices have to be able to realize a Four Noble Truths. And so that only when you realize the Four Noble Truths, but I mean, how to realize a Four Noble, there are so many different approach, okay? That's another story. But I want to say that ideally is that you have to able to realize the Four Noble Truths. So it's not just rational understand, but you really could be able to meditate. When I say meditate, I don't mean you're only sitting, but basically your mental part is working on that, so that you're able to realize that. So then you could start to see how the craving actually become like 那个叫什么? You could say the craving as the main evil cause, you know. So, but when you see the man, they are become the main evil cause, then your eye will arise. That's what I mean. That means, oh, no wonder I'm like this, because you didn't see whatever you do behind, there was someone who controlling you, or kind of like that. I just put it in a figurative way. I mean, the controlling you is a craving. So when you see that the craving is become the one, that's why why you have suffering, why it is and that, it's because of that. So when you see that the eyes arise, when the eyes arise, of course, then the knowledge arises. Then you know this is how it is, right? If you don't see it, you never know. So when that knowledge arises, that time the defilement will be peace. That's how all this, the Nibbana will there. But according to what the belief is, then you will have a first stage of seeing it. And after that, you still keep on based on this understanding, see it more detailed or more subtle way, you know. And then it will cut it all more and more. That's why you become the first fruit, second fruit, and third fruit, and arahant, and so forth. So, anyway, so that's the reason why if you look at all the Buddhist texts, like even Yogacara Bhumi, Yiche Siddhi Lun, or you read, or even Mahayana Sangraha, 就大乘社论, or even you read all, they actually mention the same thing. It's just definitely later on Buddhism have a different approach, how you should approach this stage. You know. So this is a main core, of the thing. When you look at the Buddhist teaching, you'll find, that's why I just mentioned the movie, you know. Even Tibetan, at that time, before that time I didn't really study Tibetan Buddhism. I didn't read any really seriously. But then after when I read, I found actually they also say the same thing. It just maybe from different approach, the approach of emptiness. But they also wanted to attend this. Because without attending the Four Noble Truths, your eye would never arise. Okay? If you don't have an eye open, you don't see things. Then whatever is just on imagination like that. You know. So that's any other questions, or with regard what we were reading, not necessarily about this text, you know. So yes.
Reading for becoming.
Oh, let me just see the party. Yeah. Okay.
Reading for a better next life.
No, as I said, because this is a note, right? So maybe I guess the Buddha did explain that time what mean by the cumulative becoming. But when you want to keep in the memory, you put in a note. But you know that's the main key word. And that time you understand what does it mean. Let's say for all of you understand what does it mean. But then later on, this term become a lot of conjecture. So we only just can base on our, of course, from different traditions, from our different teachers. I mean, teacher means during after the Buddha passed on, there are so many different teachers believe they can have a highly attained. their interpretation. That's why everybody have a little different interpretation. For example, what does it mean by the keep becoming? Just let me look at the term. Am I right first? If I'm not wrong, okay. Make sure you may become prepared. Comment. Okay. Yeah. Just. Yayang tangha panova vikana. Patra apinanti seya idan. Sankita patutana idan may become sukatan. Okay. Yeah, if you look at the Pali, ya yang tangha pano bhavika, it means yes. It means you're craving for reborn again and again. Pano bhavika. Again. It's in India, you have to understand in Indian religion, they believe that a person there's no way to be cut off the reborn. And then you have to reborn again and again. But what you have to do, because you have assigned a job by the God, so then your job is just fulfilling the duty. So until you reach the state called nirvana, the nirvana for them have many different Indian religion, have many different understanding. For example, one of the understanding would be like when you're in a jhana, I just mentioned last time, that they see the light, but they always, whenever they sit or whenever they think the light is there, and they thought the light is come from the God, that means the creator God. So, and then they have fulfilling their duty. So then they all need to think that kind of like you could stop that, it's just back to the whole single universe. That means that what we call the cosmos God. And then you are just part of the cosmos God, and then you're back. They believe in soul. Buddhism don't believe in soul. Now this is another big topic. 就是我们佛家讲我没有灵魂嘛 But they believe in soul, and then that kind of soul and unite back to the cosmos God. Okay. And so the reincarnation, the different from this religion, the Indian religion, than the either what you understand the monastic religion. The Indian religion, not only that, but actually people still serve the God by one life to another life. They reincarnate again and again. So it's almost no ending unless the God calling you, something like that. But here it's almost like a revolutionary idea telling you not about this thing. Of course, as I say, this is just a note. 就是一个 note. They are not going to mention, oh no, God, no, this is not the thing to discuss. This is the first sermon. So here, I guess he just want to make it, that if you understand the background, just want to say, it's nothing to do with that. It's just because of craving makes the thing. And then people can stop the reborn. That's it. It's a big idea. Imagine that time in every Indian religion thinking that way, and then the Buddha come out and say, oh, you don't have to think about that. You have to just stop to think about craving. And you're crazy, right? That's the reason why now you start to understand why is that after he attended Buddhahood, he only realized that what I discovered, because you guys were not here. I mentioned already, before the Buddha attended the enlightenment, he was sitting under the Bodhi tree. The first thing he attended was he could see his past life, not one, not two, not three, but million past life. That he was a king, he was a prince, he was this, he was an animal, he was this and that, he was insect, whatever, he was like that. And then after he see that kind of past life, and he could see other people. If it only him, how do you know what happened? And he see the people are same, and he could see the universe. The earth was finishing, another similar earth appear, and then even when it appear, it used to have a big mountain here, the mountain collapse and become only river, and the river dry up. Imagine if you have this vision in your that. What do you think? Do you still want to think, I want to reborn again? Do you? I'm talking about, you just say rushing away, right? This is the first knowledge you attend, what we call Jutu Uttabadi. The second one is called Jutu Uttabadi in Pali. But sometimes Chinese translation, I'm not really happy about. They always translate like Tianyan. It's not. Literally means he know the ceasing and arising of the world, including people, human. So, and the first one, I forgot the Pali. But anyway, if I remember. First one, Pupavat. Anyway, it means he remember his own past life. That's about his own. And then the second, he understands the universe. The universe appear and disappear. Another universe appear, including the earth. disappear and appear. So he saw this kind of universe in such a way. So that's why the third knowledge arises. We call the avijja, vidya. The vidya, the he aseka vidya basically mean is 就是我们叫无漏通嘛。我们说它一般中文翻译叫天眼通 ，Chinese usually 叫天眼通、宿命通 ，and then 就是无漏通或者是这样。Anyway, but that translation is not very accurate because 天眼 the divine eye is called Dhammacakkappavattana is different. The Dhammacakkappavattana not necessarily able to see such a big thing. You only see almost like you have a telescope. You could see what the people are doing now, or what the people. I mean, that's how the divine eye is. So, no, 宿命通就是第一个，宿命通就是，就是宿命通嘛，一个就是漏尽通嘛，一个就是那个叫。我是说中文一般翻宿命跟天眼跟漏尽嘛，实际上应该不是，是指升起之，就是 arising and falling. Anyway, so that's believed that's after when he see this and then he attained the Buddhahood. And after when he attained the Buddhahood, he was sitting in the Bodhi tree. He was there for 1 week because he started to recollect how did he attain this wonderful state. That according to at least Buddhism, or listening to what we understand or believe, that then the really complete, cut off the suffering. That means nirvana. So he was thinking about that. So that's why we come later on, if you learn it, the yuan qi fa, the dependent origination. Yeah. But anyway, before we come to that point, please remember. So since the Buddha come here to mention this to the companion and then mention about the Four Noble Truths, it must have a really significant reasons there. The more you learn, you know why. Anyway, this is we cannot discuss it in one time. So, all right, okay. Anyway, I think time's up. I don't want to waste, take too much of time. And thank you for all your coming. So,
thank you.
So, thank you so much. Yeah.